Okay, so yesterday we saw that anatomy was the study of structure. Yes, anatomy was the study of structure. And then we said the word anatomy is derived from Greek, which means to cut up or to cut open. So that's why when we see something cut up and open it, we see it and we study the structure. We know the structure, what it looks like. This is what we study in anatomy. What it looks like, we study in anatomy. And the anatomists examine the relationship among parts of the body, that how different parts of the body work together, how we work together, all the fingers to close our hand, how we use our feet to move forward. So anatomists study all the parts and the relationship of the parts, how they work together, and how the individual organs work together. While we are talking about the structure, we should know the function. And the function of those body parts is studied under physiology. What is physiology? Normal function of the body or body parts or body structures. So when we talk about normal structures, normal functions, we say it is physiology of this part of body. The normal function is physiology of this part of body. And then we talk about structure, it's the anatomy of this part of. That's how we talk in medical sciences. This is the anatomy of this part of body. This is the physiology, normal function of this part of body. And when the normal function becomes abnormal, when the normal function becomes abnormal, it becomes a disease, and that is known as pathology. And then we treat the disease with some kind of medication. It becomes pharmacology. And when we join together everything, it becomes medicine. And the medicine, when you cannot treat it, you have to do surgery. That's how these are interrelated. So the structure and function cannot be completely separated. So function and structure cannot be completely separated. So the meaning of cannot be completely separated means, it means that should not, when we study structure, we must study the function, right? First we study the structure, then we study the function. If we study the function, we should know the structure. For example, if there is a building and you want to know what is this building used for, what is this building used for, then you should know this is a big library. And then in library, you know the structure of the library. There should be a lot of bookshelves. So whenever you study the structure, you study the function. This means that it cannot be completely separated, means it cannot be studied separately. Yes, because they are interrelatable, because they are related to each other. Very good. So when we study lungs, for example, we have bronchi and then we have lungs, right? And we study the anatomy of the lungs. Then we say, okay, what does lung looks like? What does our lungs, our bronchi, our alveoli looks like? When we say looks like, it means anatomy. We are talking about the anatomy. What is the structure of those alveoli or everything, and how? And then we say, okay, we know the structure now. Now, what does this thing do? What does this thing do? This alveoli, after knowing the structure, we know the function of this is exchange of gases. Exchange of gases between the blood vessels and epithelium. So that's why structure and function cannot be completely separated and cannot be studied separately. Whenever we talk about structure, we talk about function. Whenever we talk about function, we will talk about structure. Okay, perfect. So the form, the structure is related to the function. This sentence is described by this sentence, that the form, the structure is related to the function. That's why structure and function cannot be completely separated. Simple. Okay. Next. So yesterday we said that we're going to divide our anatomy into 3 associations: gross anatomy, histology and embryology, and neuroanatomy. Neuroanatomy deals with the nerves. As I told you, it deals with the nerves. And then we had histology and embryology. It deals with the yes, neuroanatomy has a lot, has CNS, has peripheral nervous system, autonomic nervous system, somatic nerves, sensory nerves, motor nerves. Yes, all of these is covered in neuroanatomy. And then histology and embryology. Histology means microscopic anatomy. We deal with the microscopic level. Yes, microscopic level, tissue level and cellular level. We deal under the microscope is histology. And when we talk about the different stages, developmental stages of an embryo, of a unicellular embryo into the organism, we talk about in embryology. But this part is not ours. Our part is concerned with the gross anatomy. Gross anatomy means we can see it with our naked eye. We can see, we don't need any microscope. It is macroscopic. So it includes general anatomy and regional anatomy. What do you mean by general anatomy? It means surface and systemic anatomy. Okay, so general anatomy includes surface and systemic, and regional also includes surface. But basically we have 11 systems in our body, and when we study about those in and the relationship between them, we will say that this is the part of general anatomy which we study in the gross anatomy. Yes. And then regional anatomy is divided according to the regions of the body, like upper limb, lower limb. The appendicular skeleton is made up of upper limb and lower limb, appendicular skeleton. And then we have a central axial skeleton. Yes, we have a, very good. We have a central axial skeleton made up of head, neck, thorax, abdomen, abdominal viscera, pelvis, perineum. And then we have hands and legs. So this axial skeleton. And then inside the skull, we have brain, studied in neuroanatomy. Okay, perfect. Let's move ahead. So we, under gross anatomy, we said that this branch of anatomy which deal with the macroscopic structure or tissues of organs which are visible with the naked eye. We don't need any microscope because we can see them with our naked eye, with our eye. What do you mean by naked eye? Without the help of some aid, without the aid of something, without the help of microscope. It means that. Okay. And then gross anatomy is subdivided into surface anatomy, the external body. For example, if you look at the skin, you can see the hair, you can see the eyes, lips, nose, cheeks, buccinator muscle, clavicle bone, pectoral major, these muscles. Yes, yes, without aid and lenses. Yes, very good. And then we studied in the surface anatomy externally from the surface, the external landmarks, the anatomical landmarks seen by our naked eye. These are studied in surface anatomy. And then next we go to the systemic anatomy, which deals with the organ system. And as we know, we have 11 organ system which are represented here. As you can see, we have integumentary system, we have, what is this, skeletal system, we have, what is this, lymphatic system, we have respiratory system, we have muscular system, nervous system, digestive system, urinary system, endocrine systems, cardiovascular system, and reproductive system. Yes. Okay, so then we go to the regional anatomy where we have 7 regions, and there are upper limbs, lower limb, head and neck, thorax, abdomen, pelvis, perineum, and abdominal viscera. Okay, this is surface anatomy, systemic anatomy, and regional anatomy. Then we said there was several levels of organization in the body, starting from the chemical level all the way going to organism. We said that there was a chemical level where atoms join to form molecules, macromolecules, micromolecules, and then they join together to form organelles, and organelles get up into the bag which is known as cell, sea of potassium. We say cell is a sea of potassium where organelles are not sinking, they are swimming. So organelles are swimming in a bag of potassium known as cell. This bag is known as cell. Okay, perfect. So now these cells, when they work together, they make a tissue, right? And when different tissues work together, they will make an organ, and organs, different organs working together will make organ system, and different organ system working interdependently depending on each other will make an organism, an individual. Okay, so after that we said that the chemical level is the simplest one. It is simplest level of organization within the body, that is chemical level, which is composed of atoms and molecules, also known as molecular level. And then we say that atoms are the smallest units of matter. There were molecules, there were macromolecules. Molecules mean two or more atoms joined together to form molecule, such as protein, water molecule, or vitamin. And then we had macromolecules, which were larger and complex molecules, such as DNA and huge proteins like hemoglobin. And then at the cellular level, specialized structural and functional units called organelles permit all living cells to share some of the common functions. Okay. So all the cellular level, specialized structural and functional units called organelles, they get together and permit all living cells to share some common functions, and they form a cell. After the chemical level, we have cellular level, where large molecules join in a specific way. They make some organelles, and then they form cells. The cells are the basic units of structure and function in organisms. What is the cell? Cell is the basic unit of structure and function in an organism. Basic living unit of structure and function. The cell is the smallest structural unit that exhibits the characteristics of living things. Organism is the smallest living portion of the human body. Now these cells group together to perform a similar function known as tissue. And you know we have 4 types of tissue in our body present in the different organs. They get together and perform similar function. Very good. So then we go to the organ level, where different tissue types work together, to perform specific complex functions forming an organ. And after that we had organ system, where these organs get together and related organs work together to coordinate activities and achieve a common function. For example, in nervous system, your brain, your spinal cord, your nerves, these are all the organs, and then they get together and coordinate. The sensory nerve says, okay, I will bring the sensory or sensory. I don't know why these guys turn on their mics again and again. I don't understand. So the organs, for example, we are talking about nervous system, where your brain and spinal cord and the nerves as an organs work together. For example, the sensory nerve says, okay, I will bring the sensation to spinal cord and to brain. And then from brain, a motor nerve comes out and says, okay, I will tell the muscles, the motor receptor in the muscle, the receptors, that to move. For example, our hand, there was a hand and it senses there was a heat, and the sensory organ, such as the sensory nerves, took it to the spinal cord, brain, and the brain said, oh, it's hot, move your hand away. And then from motor nerve, you took the decision. So these sensory nerves, spinal cord, and these brain and then motor neuron, they different organs here join together to perform, they coordinate and join together to perform a common function. Yes, this is a reflex action. If it's not in your control, it's a reflex action or spinal action. And then this will be known as organ systems. Perfect. And then different organ systems, such as 11 organ system in human body, work together to work interdependently. Interdependently means you also need to focus on your English. If you need to improve your English as well. Interdependently means inter mean with each other, dependent mean dependent, right? So they are depending on each other. Intra mean within, and inter mean in between. So in between, they depend each other. So they depend on each other and they coordinate with each other to keep the living human alive, to keep the organism alive. The endocrine system needs to work together. The endocrine system keeps the keeps the hormonal balance so that the mood is okay. The mood of the human being is okay. And when the endocrine keeps the mood okay, the musculoskeletal system says, okay, I'm hungry, I'm in the mood of eating. Some people say, oh, I'm not in the mood of eating, right? Then some people say, okay, I'm in a good mood of eating because endocrine system has taken care of the hormones. And then musculoskeletal system says, okay, let's walk towards the food, either make the food or just grab the food, take the food and eat. So musculoskeletal system will use to go for the food. And then you use your muscles and your nerves, your nervous system to choose the food. So you see a lot of different organ systems are working interdependently, coordinating with each other and keeping the organism alive. This is the function of the organ system. They keep the organism alive. They work, they let the organism to live. So this is again a representation of the organ system where there was atomic level, chemical level, micromolecules, macromolecules join together to form organelles. Organelles in the cells make cellular level, and many cells make a tissue, and then tissues join together to make an organ, then organ system and individual. And as you can see here, right side where we see a cell, different types of cells makes different types of tissues combinations, and different tissue combinations will make different organs and organ systems, and then finally the body system will be there. In our coming lectures we will see how different cells and tissues join together to form different organs, and different organs work together to make different body systems. Okay, now we start our lecture from here. It was a good revision, quick revision from the 4 types of tissues in human body. Before we make some organs and organ systems, we need to know about the tissues of human body. Excuse me. The 4 types of tissues in the human body are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. So epithelial tissue covers exposed surfaces and lines body cavities. So what happens is, for example, you have a respiratory system, or you have a gastrointestinal system, GI system, or you have a urinary system with ureters. The internal lining, you see from inside we have a hollow space. This is a tube, right? This is a tube, and inside the tube, this lining, the wall will have some cells. This wall will have some cells, and these cells will make the lining, inner lining of this. And these inner linings of these cavities, body cavities or hollow structures, we have epithelial tissue. We have epithelial tissue. And in histology, you will study that there are different kinds of epithelial tissue cells. We have squamous cells. We have squamous cells. They are like flat with a nucleus. They are like flat. And then we have cuboidal cells. They are like cuboidal shape. Yes, cuboidal shape, like cube shape. Yes, this squamous cells will make a squamous epithelium. This cuboidal cell will make a cuboidal epithelium with a nucleus, right? With this is a nucleus. And then we have columnar or columnar. These they are like column, and their nucleus are present on the bases. They are long elongated nucleuses on the bases. This is columnar epithelium. Different columnar cells create a columnar epithelium. So different body structures inside, they will have different kinds of cells, cell linings. These cell linings, they are present inside the inner linings of the body cavities. And this is epithelial tissue. Now the connective tissue, as the name says, it connects the skin. It connects the tissues. It connects. What it does is it protects, it supports, and it interconnects. Yes, cartilage too. What does it do? It supports, it protects, and interconnects the body parts. For example, it can be solid, liquid, or intermediate in nature. For example, bone. We have a femur bone. Femur bone connects our hip bone to our tibia, and tibia will help us for to connect with the feet. Yes, so we have tibia and fibula here. So we these bones are connecting the skeletal system. And then we have blood vessels. We have blood vessels, right? We have blood vessels, and blood vessels, what do we have? We have blood, and in the blood, what do we have? We have oxygen. We have in the blood, we have oxygen, we have nutrients, we have glucose, we have amino acids, we have fatty acids, and these are known as nutrients. And these new the blood helps to connect the different parts of the body by supplying the nutrients to the body, and veins bring back the waste material from the body and send it outside. Either if it is carbon dioxide, it will be sent out through the lungs. If it is uric acid or ammonia, it will be sent out in the form of urine from the kidneys. Or it is different waste, it will be digested. So that's how it connects the body. So connective system connects the body, such as blood. And then we have cartilage, bones, reticular system, reticular network cells, reticular cells, right? And basement membrane. All are these which help in the our connective tissue. And then we have muscle tissue. What does muscle tissue do? They movement. They help in movement. So we have skeletal muscle, which which makes most of the muscles which are in our control. So skeletal muscles are the voluntary muscles which are in our control. And then we have smooth muscles which are not in our direct control, but they are controlled by the autonomic nervous system, the peripheral nerve part of peripheral nervous system. These are smooth muscles. Smoother muscles are found in the digestive tract. They are found at different places, right? Even in the respiratory tract and urinary system and cardiovascular system, everywhere. Even in your vessels, in your blood vessels, there is a layer of smooth muscle and elastic muscles. Okay, the third, last but not least, is cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle is a special kind of muscle which helps the heart to beat constantly throughout your life. So if it is beating 72 times per minute, and one hour has 60 minutes, so every minute it is 72 times per 60 minute per 24 hours. And then if it is going 365 days per year, so you just imagine how many times a heart beats in 1 year. Yes, so it is constantly beating for you, is supplying the blood, because even when you are sleeping, even when the brain is resting, the active part of brain is resting. And even because brain is not completely stopped, it has to when you are sleeping, it has to maintain the respiration, it has to maintain the digestion, it has to maintain the autonomic nervous system, automatic, right? Autonomic nervous system is always there, working for your thermoregulation, your dehydration, hydration, and your everything, respiration, your thirst centers. Yes, so cardiac muscle is still not resting and is beating and beating your heart. Okay, and then we have a nervous tissue. Nervous tissue conducts impulses for internal communication. Which internal communication? Internal communication of the body. It conducts the impulses. How it conducts the impulses? With the help of action potential and resting membrane potential. And then we have impulse. Yes, we have a synapse, we have impulse, we have axon, we have dendrons, we have sensory nerves, neurons. Yes, and then it is basically due to the ionic difference, ionic concentration difference, or ionic gradient. You know what is gradient? The difference either in the concentration or the quality or the electric gradient. It can be chemical gradient, it can be quantitative gradient, it can be any gradient. Gradient means difference of something in two places. If it is more here and if it is less here, so the gradient is from upper surface towards the lower surface. And if sodium is more in here and sodium is less here, so the gradient is towards the lower to upper. So gradient means the difference of something across some membrane. Gradient. And nervous tissue, yes, potential gradient, chemical gradient, electrical gradient, yes, height gradient, everything. There are pressure gradient. There are a lot of gradients, right? And then nervous tissue conducts impulses for internal communication, and it contains of brain, spinal cord, and nerves. So now you know four types of tissues. Repeat with me: in your heart, epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. And in epithelial tissue is found in the inner linings, and connective tissue connects the body parts such as bone, blood, cartilage, basement membrane. It can be solid, it can be liquid, it can be intermediate in nature. Then we have muscle tissue like skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Then we have nervous tissue, brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Okay, this is basically the revision of your previous classes like FSC. You have already covered a lot of this. For those who are not clear, they will get cleared, and for those who are cleared, mashallah, they will get a revision. And this is necessary so that you get small boluses of food, so that you can digest small boluses of knowledge, you can digest, so that you can build up your knowledge from the beginning, from the basics, and take it to the next level. This is important. Perfect. So the human body plan, what is a tissue? A tissue is a collection of cells that have a similar structure and that work together to perform a particular function. It can be four types, can be epithelial, connective, nervous, and muscle. So these nervous tissue are found in the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. It looks like this under the microscope. Under the microscope, the nervous tissue looks like this. And the examples are brain, spinal cord, and nerves. And the epithelial tissue looks like this. They are closely attached to each other. They make the lining of GI tract. They make the lining of hollow organs. All the tubes and all the organ which has cavity inside. All the tubes and all the organ which has cavity inside. The internal lining will be because of the because of epithelial tissue. All of the tubes of the body, like the trachea is a tube, bronchi is a tube, and then esophagus is a tube, and GI stomach is a cavity, body cavity. There is a hollow space inside. The inner lining will be there, and then we have ureters. Everywhere where there is tube and internal hollow organs, we have an internal lining which protects, by the way, which protects and it reproduces, and that will be epithelial tissue. Not only the inside, but the whole outside of the body, which is skin, is also epithelial tissue. So your epidermis, which is the skin surface, the skin tissue, is all epithelial tissue. Yes, good job. Okay, so now we are going towards the muscle tissue. You already know three types of muscle tissue. Smooth muscle, not in our control, like GI and vessels. Skeletal muscle, in our control, like muscles. They are in our control, we move with them. And then cardiac muscles, thank you cardiac muscles, you keep our hearts beating. Yeah, we love you. Cardiac muscles, love from heart, cardiac muscle, perfect. And then we have connective tissue, which connects the body to all parts. For example, we have fat, adipose tissue, we have other soft padding tissues, reticular tissues, we have bone, cartilage, we have reticular tissues, we have basement membrane and tendon and aponeurosis, all of them. Perfect. Okay. So